Simon Cowell jumps up when Filipino singer performs, voice identical to Elvis. The backstage area buzzed with nervous energy, but 27-year-old Marcos Santos stood completely still, hands tucked into his pockets, eyes closed as if listening to a song no one else could hear. He wasn't a superstar, not yet. He was a grocery store cashier from Manila who had flown to America with nothing but a borrowed jacket, a cheap suitcase, and a dream too loud to ignore. The producers kept checking their clipboards, calling contestants one by one, but Marcos stayed quiet, calm in a way that made even the other singers glance at him with curiosity. They didn't know that his entire life had led to this moment, balanced between fear and hope. Growing up in a crowded neighborhood, Marco learned early that kindness came in small forms, neighbors sharing meals, mothers exchanging stories, children singing on the streets just to feel alive. His father used to play old Elvis records on a battered radio, and every evening, their tiny home shook with the echoes of a legend. When his father lost his job and the struggles became heavier, Marco took to singing on sidewalks, not for fame, but to help his parents buy food. People would stop, amazed at how his voice carried the same warmth, the same velvet tone, the same crackle of nostalgia that Elvis once had. But Marco never believed it meant anything. To him, singing was never about attention, it was about love, survival, and bringing light where life felt dark. When his father grew ill and could no longer work, Marco set aside his own dreams entirely. He worked double shifts, slept little, and sang even less. Music had almost slipped away from him, until the night his father, frail and fading, whispered, "Anik, your voice is a gift. Don't let it stay locked inside you. Promise me you'll try again." Those words became a promise that burned in Marco's heart long after his father passed away. Signing up for America's Got Talent felt impossible, but with his mother's encouragement and the entire neighborhood pooling donations for his airfare, Marco boarded a plane for the first time in his life. Now, standing on the AGT stage under the bright white lights, Marco faced the four judges. Simon Cowell leaned forward, arms crossed, studying him with that familiar unreadable expression. Heidi smiled warmly, while Howie and Sophia nodded as if silently urging him to breathe. Marco gripped the microphone with trembling hands. "What's your name?" Simon asked. "Marco Santos, sir, from the Philippines." "And what brings you to AGT?" Marco looked at the audience, thousands of strangers staring back at him. "My father believed music could heal people," he said softly. "I'm here because I want to bring that healing to as many hearts as I can." The crowd fell silent. Then the music began. The first note left Marco's lips like a spark, low and golden, carrying that unmistakable Elvis timbre, rich, soulful, effortless. People gasped. Someone in the balcony shouted, "No way." Within seconds, the audience rose to their feet, cheering wildly as Marco poured his entire soul into the song. Every rise and fall of his voice felt like a tribute not only to Elvis, but to every moment of hardship, love, and sacrifice that had shaped him. Simon's eyes widened. Then, suddenly, he stood up so fast his chair nearly toppled. The other judges looked at him in shock as he leaned toward the stage, palms pressed firmly against the table. "This is unbelievable," he muttered, barely audible over the roar of the crowd. Howie's jaw dropped. Sophia covered her heart. Heidi's eyes sparkled with emotion. But midway through the performance, an unexpected moment occurred. Marco's voice wavered, just for a beat. His eyes glistened. He saw a man in the front row holding a small boy on his shoulders, reminding him of his father lifting him up at street concerts. The memory washed over him, raw and overwhelming. His throat tightened. The audience noticed the shift, but instead of judgment, something remarkable happened. People began clapping rhythmically, cheering louder, encouraging him to continue. That wave of kindness lifted Marco like a tide. He steadied himself, took a trembling breath, and sang the next line with even greater clarity. It was no longer a performance. It was a message, a love letter, a promise kept. When the final note echoed through the arena, the whole place erupted. The applause thundered like a heartbeat. Marco pressed a hand to his chest, overwhelmed by the love pouring toward him, strangers supporting him the same way his community had back home. Simon raised a hand to silence the crowd. His voice was unusually soft. "Marco, that wasn't just a performance. That was a miracle. You didn't just sound like Elvis, you brought the spirit of kindness, of hope, of humanity onto this stage." And for that, he reached out and slammed the golden buzzer. Gold confetti rained down. Marco covered his face, tears streaming. For the first time since his father's passing, he felt the weight of grief transform into something bright, something healing. He looked up, letting the confetti fall like a blessing. Backstage, a producer asked him what he felt in that moment. Marco wiped his eyes and smiled. "This isn't just my victory," he whispered. "It belongs to everyone who believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." And as he walked off stage, hearts swelling across America and across the world, one truth shined through: sometimes, all it takes is one act of faith, one act of kindness, to turn someone's entire life into a song worth singing.